back into our next executive session while we're waiting for that person to come. We will move on to item 4, discuss town administrator recruitment process. Not much to discuss at this point. Would anyone make that motion?
Did we have any additional stuff for that, or?
Yeah, with Londonderry Selectboard.
I could do
Want me to do that one?
Well, please.
You said a yes?
Yes.
Sorry, okay, all right. So we're on 4.
It's effective
Yeah.
March.
Yep. I move to hire Eileen Tullock to the full-time position of town administrator with starting salary of $65,000 annually, plus full benefits, effective March 24th this year, 2025, subject to completion of a probationary period of 6 months. We will also be providing an additional 10 days of vacation. Not an additional, we will be providing 10 days of vacation. Yes, that's fine, that's great. Yes, that's it.
Jim seconded.
Jim second.
Jim seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Eileen, would you like to stand up and say hi to everyone?
Hi, everybody. Yeah, I'm really excited to have this opportunity. I'm going to know each and every one of you. I am really bad with faces and names, so if I've met you before and then say that I haven't met you, it's not you, it's me. So thank you.
Will you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Sure. I live in Putney. I am currently on the Putney Selectboard. I'm the chair. Been the chair for 3 years. I currently work in the town of Brattleboro as an assessor technician in the assessor's office. As I said, I moved to Putney in 2017. Was kind of recruited into the position of a lister right away, as soon as I moved there. And I just kind of fell in love with municipal service. So this job came up. I've been told that I might be good at it. And so here I am.
And to help with the transition process, the LCD has a pilot program that they just started where,
It's in the minutes. Next meeting.
a lady, Kathleen, I can't remember her last name, Ramsey. She will be helping in the transition process, and she was a town manager of Middlebury and a few other towns, I believe. And Shane will be sticking around for 10 hours a week until the end of June to work on projects that are ongoing that it would be really hard for Eileen to jump right into. So, thank you, Eileen. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Now we will do minutes approval, meeting of 1/20/2025 and 1/23/2025.
I move to approve the minutes of the select board meetings of January 20th, 2025 and January 23rd, 2025.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Item 6 is select board pay orders.
I move to approve the pay orders for payroll and accounts payable.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Item 7 is announcements and correspondence.
The town report should be going out in the mail by the 19th, so everybody should have enough time for town meeting. And dog licenses.
And there's FYI, there's 7 dates that Magic is doing that outside permit for their liquor license, but we don't get a cut of that, so just an FYI, as well as another one for Kelly's special event permits. Yeah, came through. So there was 8 in total.
And on to item 8, visitors and concerned citizens. Melissa?
I'm just, I have a question as to why this meeting wasn't offered remotely tonight. I see where the agenda from the short-term rental working group, that they had a Zoom option, and that meeting was prior to this meeting, so I'm just wondering why that couldn't have carried over.
They actually were not, sorry, that they were not able to get the Zoom available for the meeting at 4, so not that that meant anything for this meeting, but yeah.
So again, just hoping that in the future, we will consider adding Zoom as an option for the select board meetings regularly. Thank you.
Any,
Jenny Greenfield, concerned citizen. Has there been any other issues with other neighbors or anything regarding Magic View? And the folks that are staying there? Because we've had a few people wander on property and casing the place and stuff, so.
not that I've been made aware of myself.
I know that there was in the police log that was in the, I don't know if it's in
I don't think
the tail end of the last one. It was the last one, right? That there were some reports of individuals, I don't know if they were necessarily linked to the location you're talking about, but I mean, it seems likely. But there definitely has been some notice taken of things going on. And I don't know if that means maybe a little bit more attention being paid by our sheriff when he's in town, but it's definitely been on the radar. So.
Yeah, because I mean, I saw a report from before, it was like panhandling or whatever at the marketplace and stuff, and so
Right.
I just.
Jen, how's it affected you in your business?
When I have people coming on my property and making a scene in front of guests, cursing at us and whatever because we don't have a laundry facility for them to use, what am I supposed to do? Like, you're not even a guest here,
Right.
so.
I'm sorry.
I would definitely contact the sheriff or state police
Yeah,
additionally
just-
to make
Yeah,
sure
because
that-
it's, I mean, this is the second time in the last couple months, so just wanted to,
I know Mike James also has some issues with individuals in there, going in there and taking like creamer and stuff and causing scenes.
We can certainly pass that information along to the Whitman County Sheriff's, and they've encouraged us to, if anybody comes forward to have them give them a call as well. So I think that would be great. I can get you their number.
The non-emergency
So-
numbers on our website.
Oh, there you go.
thank you.
Anyone else? All right. Our next executive session should be here momentarily. Do you want to go over the,
Yeah, we can, I don't have much to say unless you have questions.
we'll move on to item 9, town official business. 9A, town treasurer review fiscal year 2024 town audit.
Overall, the year went pretty well considering that we spent $1 million on road repairs, over $1 million. So we had, at the end of the year, a $210,000 deficit in our reserve fund, in our fund balance. However, we've since recouped the rest of that, another $600,000. So I expect that this year we'll have a healthy surplus.
Because of the way it landed on the fiscal
Yeah,
year,
because it
showed as a
did- yeah.
loss prior to
Yeah.
getting reimbursed, so last year was short.
Yeah.
This year's-
We got a good chunk of it in July and August and some in November or December.
So Tina, if we're talking about the letter from Sullivan Powers and Company, right, the cover letter to the audit, seems to be for me, first time I've seen a municipal audit review like this, and I know it's not a full audit, it's just a perfunctory report. Is this a fairly clean audit? I mean, there's nothing in a management letter that I'm seeing that pops out like they have issues or whatever, so.
No, we did not this year.
Great, well, congratulations, that takes work, yeah.
Pamela Spalding. I have a question. On page 39 of the document, it talks about the age of the spouse with the female being 3 years younger than the male. I don't understand.
That's part of the municipal retirement language. That's not, they just report on the municipal retirement.
Isn't
I
that
don't-
discriminatory?
I don't know. Good question. It might be.
Is it talking about retirement age?
I think so, yeah.
Page 39.
On the very bottom.
I'm not exactly sure what they mean by it.
It's on the,
It says
Oh, there it is.
females 3 years younger than males. Maybe females can retire 3 years earlier than, I don't know. I might have to get some clarification on that from the retirement department. I don't really
it
know.
must be, I mean, it says significant actuarial assumptions and methods. So this is basically what they're using when they're doing their computation for their retirement fund. So it's just a protocol they use, it appears, that typically female spouses are younger than the males. But, you know, it's for their computation of retirement benefit. If you want to talk to, who actually runs this?
Vermont Municipal Retirement,
MEHIP or something, right? Yeah. So,
yeah. It's probably language that's been in there.
it's their reality. I mean,
Yeah.
That's what they're seeing. So, it doesn't necessarily relate to us, I don't think. This is a planned statement.
Yeah, it might be something that they just have in their audit, like,
Yeah, they have an actuary.
yeah. what
Figures
they
out.
For
call
the
audit.
retirement plan, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's the audit company doing that, it might be their,
No, this would be the plan.
No, this is the plan of whatever our municipal
Okay.
Yeah,
retirement plan.
that's what this is. So,
so, I don't think anyone here can answer
No.
that, unfortunately. Alright.
Do you want a motion? Did you get that?
I don't think we have a motion there, but, oh, no, we do have a motion.
Oh, we do.
Anyone care to make that motion?
Second.
It's a miss, make it first.
I move to accept FY 2024 town audit as presented. Are you using the word audit? Is it actually an audit? Okay.
Yeah,
Second.
Jim seconded, all those in favor?
Aye.
certainly if anybody reads more and wants me to answer anything, it's a lot to digest.
We're gonna have to do the executive session, he's supposed to be at 5:45, so it's 5:42.
We do B.
B,
Liam's not.
Liam's not here.
It'll take us a few minutes to get in and out there anyway, if you want to just go into executive session probably. So,
Yeah, we can go into it and then he can come in when he gets here. Well, Esther's coming too, but they should be here, but.
is there anything else quick that we can pick on?
I don't have a problem
You do the
moving these.
overweight permits, you don't have any highway updates, so.
Yeah, do you want to skip to that, or is it gonna get really confusing?
Yeah, I think it's just gonna get too confusing at that point.
How about some old news, how about the dam?
The dam is coming up under old business 12A. That shouldn't be
We might need more
too
than
much after 6.
3 minutes for that.
Yeah. And we do have some experts from the state coming for that.
I don't have a problem taking Liam's rates for hourly rates for the officials. Do you want to take those? Yeah, they're pretty standard.
Standard, yeah,
Yeah,
standard
yeah.
rates for, oh, you're right.
Yeah.
I believe we asked him to provide these for us.
Guess we'll move on to 9B, Mountain Town.
Dan had a question.
Oh, okay.
I have a question. Why do umpires get less than referees?
That's a question for
Liam?
Liam.
It's pretty standard.
It's just sort of a.
It's just a standard?
Baseball games are only 6
Pardon?
innings. Baseball games are only 6 innings.
Little League is 6 innings.
Okay.
It's a shorter,
They're not shorter.
shorter time.
It's 2-hour
They-
time
they-
limit versus a basketball game is 1 hour. But basketball you run, it's more physical.
Yeah.
It's,
Okay. I was just curious.
yeah, I just know, just because
Yeah, sure.
yeah,
My question is, how many referees do you need per game?
2 minimum.
Basketball's 2.
2, and soccer, 2?
Soccer's usually, 1, depending on age and skill level. It's age and, it's age mostly. 5, 6, your
In
5th, 6th
baseball?
graders. Baseball's, you can do 1, again on age. For the younger kids, you can just have a home plate, but they like to. It's depending on age and skill level, what you're.
I'm happy to move it.
Well, 9D, Mountain Town Director, consider compensation rates for parks and recreation temporary part-time employees. Okay.
So I move to approve compensation rates for temporary part-time parks and recreation positions at the following hourly rates of pay. Basketball referee, $40. Soccer referee, $40. Baseball umpire, $20. Basketball bookkeeper, $15. Basketball clock operator, $15.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye. The baseball guy doesn't move very far either. You know, the baseball umpire, and the other guys are running back and forth.
As someone who's umpired, I would disagree, not move, but you get hit by balls. It's way more painful.
The umpire, a lot of guys.
Softball to the shin is not a fun day.
All right, so everybody is here for our executive session, so let's get that done with.
All right, so I move to enter executive session to consider the employment or evaluation of a public employee pursuant to Title I VSA, Section 313, A3, and invite Nick Green and Esther Fisherman to attend the executive session in Antina.
Second.
All those in favor?
I move to hire Nick Crane to the part-time position of transfer station attendant at a rate of pay of $18.50 per hour without benefits effective February 10th, 2025, subject to the completion of a probationary period of 6 months.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Congratulations, Nicholas. You can get in touch with Esther.
A contracted employee?
This is, this is a question. I may
Would
have
it
to,
be easier to be hourly than per meeting? Or
it might almost be easier to do hourly, because he's gonna probably go over the 600
per year?
per year, so for 1090, so we'd have to have a 1099.
I'm not against the idea at all, just trying to figure out the best way for
That's-
this
Yeah.
town to have him.
What do you
hire.
prefer?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
I honestly, I don't,
Okay.
whatever's easiest, just
Okay.
to kind of get the process
Probably would be
moving.
easier if he was an employee.
Well,
And the
Mike?
potential for other.
yeah,
Yeah,
that's what I was gonna say.
Potentially.
But, you know, certainly would probably meet the minimum to get a 1099. And if you're interested, we have many boards that need the same services, so.
The only issue I have with that is that the money for, if he agrees to do other board meetings, that it not come from the
Yeah.
planning
Of
board.
course, of course.
So they would have to.
Well, and the only reason I was mentioning that was because it becomes hourly as opposed, you know, because every meeting is different, like some
Right.
board meetings will be longer than another committee or something
Yeah.
like that. So it'd be a more fair deal by the hour.
Yeah.
Did you hear that?
Yeah. mhm.
Okay. Thank you. Do you need anything else from the planning commission in terms of motion for that?
Yeah,
So, well, we're hiring an hour, we need a rate.
Well, I think there would also have to be a minimum. Maybe it's a minimum of $50 an hour or something. If you're gonna drive to a meeting in the evening.
Yeah.
More than
they have 2 meetings a month, and how long do you meet usually?
Roughly 2 hours.
So you could just do 25 an hour, and then with a $50 minimum. And then if it goes over, we'll compensate them.
That sounds more fair to me.
Yeah, it does to me too.
If I was considering the job, I would,
Yeah.
I wouldn't want
Yeah.
to be shortchanged on a
Yeah,
quick evening or something like that.
Sounds
Yeah.
good. Does that all sound good to you?
Yeah, that all sounds, that works. I like that, thank you.
We don't have that motion written down, but if anyone do that.
So something like the Nick Crane motion?
Yeah.
So I move, I'll make it. I move to hire Ryan Anderson, right? As I provides technology services for meetings at $50 a meeting.
Minimum.
Oh, at $50 minimum per meeting.
25 per hour.
$25 an hour.
$25. Somebody else, Sally, you'll figure this out. $5 per hour. Obviously, without benefits, effective 2/10. What would be a good
When's your
start
next meeting?
date?
Is that your next meeting? Yeah.
Is that your next point? Okay, 2/10. Subject to completing this probationary period of 6 months. How's that?
Second.
Okay. Need to come see me?
All those in favor? Aye.
Sorry if that was confusing. I'm trying to be helpful, but my head scratch doesn't really help sometimes.
All right.
Get through it.
Moving on to item 10, transfer station, solid waste management, 10A's updates. The only update I have is the vending machine is up and running. We have heard some minor complaints here and there, not working for certain credit cards. We'll try to get that figured out. And, yep. But for the most part, it seems to be working good.
Yay, thank you, Tom, because Tom was instrumental in getting it all.
I know.
Yeah, I had to
And
play with
Ally.
it for a while.
And Esther.
I tried it the other day, and I was trying to buy a bulk card
Did it not work?
with a Visa card.
Somebody else had that problem
And
today.
it
We gotta-
didn't work for the bulk card. And one thing that I noticed was there was a little red X through the internet signal.
Yeah,
That
no,
has
that
nothing to
doesn't,
do with
no,
it.
something,
That was-
it's
I mean-
just, right now it's been the bulk. We've had issues with somebody trying to buy the bulk. That's-
Right.
Yeah.
we're not sure
There's
why.
a second person today. who
Yes,
said
I
that.
don't know why. We have to investigate.
What that discussion was, is it fixed now?
No, we just found out today that it
that
doesn't
there's
work.
something with the certain bulk. Well, I don't know, we don't know why. We have to see why, that they can't purchase the bulk.
It almost seems like it could be the dollar amount or something.
I was thinking that, the machine, like, because, normally they're made set up for like candy, like if it's over $100, if there's like a limit that's not letting you vend
Right.
for that dollar amount, that's what I'm wondering, if something actually in the machine, not it working, but like a cap on something.
Right.
We'll have to call the guy tomorrow.
I was talking with the guys in the hardware store, and a few people are still going in there, and he's sent them that way. And people who are buying the regular cards, he said they go right in the store and they come right out with no
Yeah,
trouble.
yes.
So,
I
mean,
think it's
been
something with the
working.
dollar amount of the bulk, that's what I'm,
Well, you
Yeah.
don't want to tell the owner of the store that they're coming right in and out, because he wants people to come in there and buy stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
hopefully for that.
Yeah.
So, Tina, if you and I can talk about what to do about the $120 card. that would
We
be-
have had a couple of them
yeah,
purchased, so.
I've seen some go through the transaction, so I'm not sure it's like the card setting the limit, or
I
the
don't know.
machine, I don't
Or
know.
maybe-
Brent tried and he
But
said.
it's just, but that's the only ones we've had issues with, is just that dollar
Yeah, I
amount.
haven't
So
seen
that's why
Yeah.
I'm leaning towards that it's something with the dollar amount on those
Or
particular
maybe
cards.
it's the actual credit card company.
That's what
not
I'm saying, yeah.
liking the
Yeah.
Machine for
yeah,
some reason.
that's what, yeah, a
Yeah.
weird, because of the type of machine it is, for that dollar amount, maybe,
Well-
yeah, maybe a security thing, I don't know.
Yeah, because it doesn't tell you much when it gets denied, it just says,
Yeah,
Yeah,
transaction.
I think we can look in one of the reports and see what was denied, so if
Yeah.
they're only the 120s, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't, the other ones seem to be going right along in the
Well, I did see one
transactions.
person today that they tried to buy the 20 and
Didn't work,
it wouldn't work with their card. Again, I don't know if it's their card or,
Yeah.
because I did it right after she did it and I got a card.
yeah.
how many have you bought now?
I'm stocked up for a couple months, testing it out.
Well, I know, I mean, as far as being user-friendly, I mean, you can see clearly what, you know, the cards that are available, and, I mean, the whole system looks like it's gonna work. Being the first time that I used it, and I'm not like IT-oriented whatsoever, but, I was confused if I put my card in first, or if you make your selection, you know, there was I might have screwed it up myself.
I think you
'cause
can do both. I think you can do
Yeah, you can
either.
do both.
I tried it both ways,
Yeah.
and
It didn't work.
I didn't have any success, but I didn't know if I was doing it right either way, so.
Yeah, and something I saw today too is, the first 2 times I did tap and it was fine, I could get my card. Today it made me actually insert my card,
Yeah.
so.
Right, that's
The
what I
card
tried.
reader might have a mind of its own at times.
Yeah,
Well, like you said, it might be card specific, because
Yeah.
I tried the tap and it made me insert it.
Yeah.
So there's 50,
there was
Transactions
50
so far.
transactions as of this afternoon, since we turned it on was it Thursday?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think it was Thursday night.
Thursday, yeah. Yes.
Yeah. So, hopefully the kinks can get worked out. and-
Yep, one step forward.
Do you have anything else for updates?
Yeah, so Keith told me that Merrill's from across the way, across the road, brought in probably 100 tons of dirt to the fill area, and that there's going to be more coming. And he's a little concerned about pushing it back with the backhoe because of the amount of time it will take to do that, take away from them being able to punch cards, which is important because that's what supports the whole system. So, just reporting that.
Maybe if the road crew gets,
Yeah, I can talk to Josh. I
Yeah.
know the last time they ended up cutting one of the tires on the loader because there's a lot of concrete and stuff in there, but if it's just dirt, I don't think you'd have a problem.
I think it's just filling,
Yeah.
you know.
But there was a lot of concrete and stuff there the last time he went. He almost punctured one of the tires on the loader, and we can't have that. So, if it's just dirt, I'll talk to Josh about that.
oftentimes there's people looking for clean fill too, maybe ask around if somebody else needs something too.
Yep.
I'm sure they know one at a time.
So I guess I got a quick question for a friend or me. There used to be a stack of scrap pine that we used for kindling for our wood stove, and now it's gone. Is there a reason for that, or do you know anything about why there's no more?
In a box near,
Yes.
yeah, no, there's no reason for that. So
Just
I don't know
disappeared?
why, I will ask.
Okay, thanks.
All right, thank you. So, yeah.
That's all.
All right, moving on to item 11, roads and bridges. 11A's updates.
Nothing specific. Guys are out.
Every other day now.
Chasing
Yeah.
these little storms, they're a lot of
Cost us a
resources
lot,
for a little
cost
bit
us a lot of money.
Yeah.
How are we doing sort of man-hour-wise in terms of storms this year?
They're doing okay. He's managing Donnie pretty well to use him if he knows there's a storm coming, he tells him not to come in until,
But are we spending more this year than,
no, I don't
About
think so.
average.
No, it's about the same.
Last couple of years. we've
The
had
last
a
couple
lot
of years
these
have been these
little
kind of
storms.
nuisance storms,
Right.
so.
All right, moving on to 11B, consider application for excess vehicle weight permits.
Assuming that all the insurance policies.
Yeah,
are-
everything's all there.
Yeah, they're
It's all
there.
good.
And these are three of the ones we apply every year.
I would move to approve the excess weight permits for Newport Sand and Gravel Company Incorporated, Renown Brothers Incorporated, and Valley Crane Services Incorporated, and authorize the town administrator to execute the permits on behalf of the town.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
interesting,
Oh,
Valley
did it
Crane and
go off?
Renaud are the same company.
Oh, there we go. Green light.
Yep.
All right. Moving on to item 12, old business. 12A is recommendation on the future of Williams Dam. I just got a call in from Marie Carduto. First, let's set this thing. What's the number I need? Bear with me for just a second, please.
Hi, this is Marie.
Hello, Marie, it's Tom Kavanaugh.
Hi, Tom.
We're just getting into the dam discussion.
Okay, great. I'll just listen in and let you know if I have to add anything to add.
Sounds good, thank you. And with us, we also have Ben Green, correct?
Yep.
And Scott Jensen.
Great.
Can everybody identify what their background is or who they're representing? I don't know who
sure.
Marie is and Ben and whatever.
So yeah, if you could all just give your description as the state employees.
Say that one more time.
Just
Just give us
your title with
Oh,
the state.
I'm Scott Jensen, I'm the river engineer with Agency Natural Resources.
And I'm Ben Green, I'm a section chief dam safety engineer at the Department of Environmental Conservation.
Marie, could you do the same, please?
Sure. I'm Marie Cajuto. I'm the watershed planner for the region for rivers, lakes, and ponds.
Thank you. So, what was it, it was dredging that was the main, one of the big questions, correct?
I believe so.
Yeah.
Anyone else have?
I didn't hear that, sorry. You see that?
Yeah.
You said dredging was one of the was one of the questions that have been brought up in a previous meeting.
So I think that goes to you, Scott. We talked about this briefly on the phone the other day about dredging around the dry hydrant and also a little bit about dredging the whole area if possible.
Okay, yeah, so those are two much different scenarios. Maintenance of a dry hydrant, a municipal dry hydrant, is an exempt activity in the state of Vermont. Now, that doesn't mean that you go and you dredge that whole mill pond for the, that's outside the scope of maintenance of a dry hydrant. I'm not that familiar with that dry hydrant, the location and stuff, but that's a tough spot to keep the hydrant open because of the amount of sediment that comes through. So what I've seen other towns do is they find a different spot or a different type of dry hydrant to install and abandon on that one. Cleaning out, dredging, entirely behind the dam. There's a little bit of overlap with dam safety right near the dam, but probably from Route 11, up from Route 11 would be a stream halt issue. It's not, I would need a lot more specifics. I think there's property owners, a multitude of property owners there, correct me if I'm wrong. So you need everybody on board, you need a real plan, because it is a messy job and you have to be able to do that without causing a big discharge into the stream. And then the other part is the practicality of we get one more big storm and it's going to come back. So you got to face the facts there. It's not going to, you clean it out, it's not going to be like, oh, we're good for 20 years. The town of Guilford has a dam that they do clean out behind. It's a crib dam, and so it needs to stay wet. That's one of the main reasons that they say they do it. It's a historic dam. The best I can remember them getting is 1 year before it looked like they weren't even there. So.
You said there was one that was just like a couple months.
Yeah, in 2018 when they did it, they saved, and then we got that storm, and it was a little south of here, but in October of 2018, and it looked like they hadn't even been there, so. Same thing is gonna happen at, Williams Dam location. Just you can see upstream, there's just a lot of sediment.
Yeah, I was looking back at the report. It's estimated at 40,000 cubic yards of sediment.
What's in there now?
Yeah.
Wasn't that only going to, there was a limit to where?
Yeah, I don't know
It wasn't
how
really
far
that
up
far.
that went, but I don't think it went past the pond by any means.
No,
Up towards the state garage, but
Right, I feel like I remember it being pretty limited.
that was the estimate that they had for just right in the general pond area.
Right, close to the dam.
Yeah.
The other part there is just because other towns have clean behind, this sort of operation, there's specifics to it. So just because other towns have done it doesn't mean it's a green light or anything for the town of Londonderry.
Yeah.
We need some more investigation and, some kind of plan presented to see if it's a permissible activity. Yeah.
Melissa?
I have a clarifying question. To the best of your knowledge, has the town ever requested or ever had the mill pond or the dam area dredged, ever?
I am not aware of it. I've heard second, third hand that there was a request in the 90s that was denied, but I can't find any record of that.
And that's what I've heard as well, is that there was a request made to the state and we were denied, but I don't know if we'd have any record of it anyway.
Okay.
Not that I've seen going through dam stuff.
Okay, so I'm gonna get to the white elephant in the room, because my property is right across from the mill pond, which I lost pretty much everything. What is the fate of the dam itself, which is causing the problem?
Fate of that kid is up to this board. And if we want to put it to
I mean, what's the point of dredging it and spending that amount of money to dredge it, only to have it happen again?
that's a very good question. In my mind, benefit cost analysis is not there.
I think we were just asking about Brendan just to get information about it. We were trying to get information from all sides and all options.
But a decision on that dam needs to be made sooner than later, that is for sure. And I know your property could possibly be taken out of the flood zone if that dam was removed, according to the last study we did.
Right.
You lost her.
What's the cost of removing the dam versus repairing the dam?
We lost the rate again.
I think that
I mean, I know what the costs are. I'm just curious if,
the only costs that you can recover are for removal. There's no money available. It
Is
would
that a
have to
grant?
be generated by the town.
is that a grant that the town received to remove that dam?
I don't know if it comes in the form of a grant necessarily, specifically, but there's programs that pay for removal.
I mean, we're all aware that this is gonna happen again, pretty much.
The flooding,
Yeah.
seems like there's
So I don't understand why the issue has to continue to prolong year after year, even after Irene. I mean, what was that, 2011? This is 25.
It's just gonna turn off again.
Well, I think this
I mean, I can walk across that pond. It doesn't take more than 3 inches of rain for that to start flooding. Literally 3 inches. And I've got a spot across the street that once it hits that point, I know it's coming across. And the drainage in that area is inadequate. And it's not taken care of.
That is what got us into really talking about this dam, is we have been told, I've seen records back into the 70s, that every time dam safety has looked at this dam, their recommendation is to repair the dam. And not much has ever been done there. And I think our last dam check, that was the recommendation as well, was the dam needs to be repaired.
So what's the opposition to it?
The fire department with the water source, if you ask me, that should be the only one that's really looked at as an opposition.
I think there's definitely people in town that think of it aesthetically for our town as.
And that's a good reason to.
Well, I'm just saying that that is a reason that has been represented.
I'm sure the owner of Jellies would probably disagree with you.
You're probably right about that.
I know it for a fact. I'm just curious, because it seems to be a very slow-moving train with an obvious problem. That only,
I think
only that side of town has to deal with.
Another reason that it's come to conversation in the last few years is it's been reclassified as a different threat level, right?
Yeah, hazardous.
And to significant hazard.
Yeah.
Significant versus before it was, kind of like could go either way kind of thing. So I think that's why it came up, and we started discussing the removal because that was all we could get money for.
And we can't insure the dam either, so if something happens down the future, if it does give way, the town's on the hook for whatever damage is caused.
And the town of Londonderry, by default, owns the dam and is therefore liable, and it's uninsurable, like Tom said. So
I think Ben could probably go to the classification, what happened there.
Sure, the dam's classified as significant hazard potential. It was previously classified as low hazard potential. There's 3 hazard potential classifications for dams in the state of Vermont. High hazard, which this is not, just so you can understand the range, is if the dam were to fail, it would result in probable loss of life. That's not what this is. Significant is if the dam were to fail, it would cause property damages, loss of lifelines downstream. In this case, based on the modeling that was done, it showed there could be some properties damaged downstream should the dam fail. And then low hazard is a dam, if it were to fail, essentially it would really cause no real measurable damage downstream. So our definitions have been updated in 2018, and we've been reevaluating dams throughout the state, and some have been getting changed over as those analyses have been done. And Williams was done, I think, in 2022 or a couple of years ago now, and it was upgraded at that time with the new analyses.
And you guys did an inspection. It was actually right before the flood, you guys did your latest inspection of the dam.
Yeah, correct.
So you're saying that at one point this was classified as not much problem, and it got changed to hazardous because of the state change of regulations?
Yeah, so the regulations...
Which has nothing to do with the state of the dam. I mean, if the dam was a low risk on Wednesday and you passed a law on Thursday and now it's a significant risk, that's a big jump, isn't that?
Well, there's a lot that's changed in the 50, 80 years of classifying dams, but a lot of the dams in the state were classified back in the 50s and 60s by our predecessors who had very limited means to be able to do so, and or it didn't have the benefit of modern analysis, be able to do a modern computer-aided dam breach analysis and use modern mapping to be able to see where the flood could go. A lot of it was unfortunately a little bit more guesswork, so that's one element of it. And then another one is the rules did change. The definition of a low hazard dam did not change in 2018, but we were actually still using definitions from the 70s up until 2018. We updated to the modern definition used in the National Inventory of Dams. The main difference for Vermont, which again doesn't necessarily impact this situation, was that at Vermont we used to allow some loss of life at the significant hazard level, and we no longer do. So now we met national standards. So just as everything, standards have improved over time, and we're coming up to code with those.
When was it considered a hazardous flood zone? When did that pass?
A hazardous flood zone?
So it's flood hazard area, you mean?
I mean, 2011, I guess you guys had Irene. That whole area was flooded and houses were removed from that area. Was it after that, I'm assuming?
No.
Yeah, I think
they're asking a
different
different question.
here.
So I'm not a floodplain manager, but so someone that they would be the better one to answer. But in general, FEMA marks what the special flood hazard areas are, and it's based on a lot of different factors, including population. So before, the maps have been updated, and I don't know if it was the 70s or 80s that those maps were developed. And so they do get updated all the time. Those areas that were bought out, those were in special flood hazard areas before.
I had one question for you, Ben. The hazard classification of the dam doesn't have anything to do with the actual state of the dam. It has to do with if there was a dam breach, correct?
Correct, yeah. Hazard potential classification is what's the potential for damages if the dam fails under, and we have different circumstances that you fail the dam under, and to make that determination. There's hazard potential classification and there's condition, and they're not related in that way. You have the condition of the dam, the physical condition versus how the dam performs against certain standards. That gives you your condition rating, which this one has been in poor condition for a little while. And then you have your hazard potential classification, which is significant.
This has been in poor condition my entire life, according to the dam safety reports. 40 years plus.
Does the dam operate?
This dam operated, it's not a flood control dam. It was a hydro-powered dam for a mill back in the day. It doesn't do anything now besides sit there.
There is one feature of the dam that no longer works, where you can actually open a low point in it to let some of the silt go through, but it hasn't been operational, I think we said, since the 90s, right? It was,
yeah,
at that point, it was, yeah, the handle got lost and the turn screw is bent, so it's not operational. And you can't let the whole river through that either, it's just a low point drain.
Okay, so I'm going to go back to my original question as to why this is such an issue to take care of this dam when you have all these problems.
I think it's because we don't have a consensus yet on which direction to go.
Well, Paul, correct me if I'm wrong, the SLR report said, regardless if that dam is there or not, is to change the flooding downstream, correct?
Yes, SLR report said a bunch of things. That one of them is that if the dam is removed, while there could be significant improvements in flooding above the dam, there will be virtually no change in flooding below the dam.
So I just say that thing because that's the other part we're still trying to figure out is, I believe, how we're trying to come up with solutions about what to do downstream.
At the confluence of the Utley Brook and West River, where the water dam forms.
Because for example, like he was saying, like how the Utley Brook channels in, as long as that keeps doing it the way it is, it's still going to back up into town. So what was the percentage they said if we were able to possibly rechannel that?
The study I found that if you, right now, they come in at almost a 90-degree angle, If you can reduce that angle, the study that I found said you can reduce the backwater up to 54%. I've given Marie that study. I mean, I'm sure that's going to be a little working of the river that is probably not Marie's favorite thing.
Would the state allow us to do that? And are we gonna go down that path?
Did you hear that question, Marie?
I did. I think that's a Scott question on whether or not realigning the outlet of Utley Brook would be permittable.
Again, we need, I saw you forwarded that study to me too, Tom. Yeah, and it makes sense, and it just has to be investigated a little further to make sure it works. It's something that we do that has been done a lot of times. We're going to do it in Chester next year probably, where confluence of the middle branch and main stem of the Williams changed. So try to change it back because it's causing problems with backing up.
Yeah, I don't know what the best way to go around it is. That's just one of the few studies I could find anywhere that made sense for that spot. But
yeah,
that's definitely a big problem area for us.
Right. That doesn't necessarily dictate what you need to do with the dam. The dam decision
that's just
can
something
be,
that helps with flooding.
Right, that's a
downstream.
second effort.
Yeah, it is. Chad, you were first. Paul, you next.
So 44 years ago, the mill pond was 8-10 feet deep.
Yeah, it's like 3 now.
I understand that. We've had 2 excavation companies, local excavation companies, express that they would dredge the pond at no cost for the material.
No one has ever come to the town and stated that I am publicly aware of.
Okay.
I have asked one excavation company for the long-term recovery committee to give us an estimate of what it would cost, and they will do that.
All right. So why don't we dredge the pond? Let's take it back down to 8 or 10 feet. I do not and I cannot believe that in one storm or 2 years that we're going to gather that much silt to fill that pond in. From when 44 years ago when I was 10, it was 8 to 10 feet deep. It's taken 44 years to fill that pond to where it is now. The dam has been there for 207 years, I think. Something like that.
Exactly.
So it has really filled in the past 44 years. So let's find out from Troy, the dry hydrant guy.
Troy there.
Yes, and let's find out what the area is that we can dredge below and dredge above, and then let's find out about dredging the pond and taking it back down to its natural depth.
Paul.
Yeah, the SLR report estimated, as you said before, 40,000 cubic yards of sediment in the mill pond now. Because the dam is a run-of-river dam, if you could dredge it, and I'm not talking about benefits to the dry hydrant, just for the flooding purposes. If you could dredge and get the entire 40,000 out, it will not have any effect on flooding because that 40,000 cubic yards of sediment will be replaced with 40,000 cubic yards of water, and the water level will still be the same height as it is with all that sediment. Ironically, if the dam was removed and that 40,000 cubic yards of sediment went downriver or wherever it went, I don't know how they do that, if they remove it or they let it flow downriver, but ironically, that would lower, besides lowering the level of the water at the dam by 7.5 feet at flood levels, it would also create 40,000 cubic yards more of ability to absorb flooding water coming downstream. So it's It's, while, once again, not speaking to the safety of the dry hydrant, that's a different thing. Dredging the mill pond for flood purposes doesn't gain us anything.
There was a study done after Irene, I believe it's called After the Flood. There was a committee that was formed, and in that study, they talked about the new bridge that we have there, and how that bridge actually creates a hazard by the way that it's angled. It's 3 feet lower on the north side than it is on the south side. So when the water comes down, we've all seen it, the water goes and hits the abutment underneath, the steel underneath, which acts as a dam. And then we get the water that comes over that sidewall, and then water goes up onto the bridge. So that study is saying that the angle of the bridge is also creating a major blockage, which is holding the water back, which floods his property, which floods up by Lazarus. So the bridge is part of the problem as well. Are we going to remove the bridge and raise the bridge? The best suggestion would be to dredge the pond and let's see what happens. The SLR study states that it will flood no different downstream, whether it's there or not. The only 2 areas that will continue to flood as it has is Route 100 in front of his house and a small section of Route 100 up by Lazarus Ceramics. Digging down, let me ask this question, if I can, to Scott. The 5 acres of private land and the acreage behind, which is private land as well, behind the rescue squad, if that land is dug down to 1 foot above river's edge, will that help with water retention and reducing the flooding downstream?
I'm not getting a good picture in my head on what you mean.
Route 100, Route 100 just outside town.
Yeah, so
along.
Yeah, so the discussion has been had that in studies or people have suggested that taking that sediment that's been placed there for 100 years or more and taking it all away, but shelving it and leaving it 1 foot higher than river's bottom as a retention pond.
Well, I don't think, so discussions I've had with that, it's not really, maybe some people use a retention pond, but it's more of a floodplain restoration.
Yes.
And, they can, places like SLR can tell you how much that's going to help things downstream. But yeah, floodplain restoration, that's a big part of the flooding in the whole state, is the floodplains have been cut off, and so the water just keeps in the channel with more and more velocity, and not being able to slow down and lose energy. So yes, that would have a direct positive impact.
Well, that's different than the conversation that you and I had in November. You said that it would not work.
Again, maybe
I explained the whole thing to you on the phone.
Okay.
I've talked to you 3 different times, and all 3 times I've explained this same scenario. And all 3 times you have told me that it will not work.
Okay, I remember talking to you once, and so maybe it's someone else that you've talked to. But floodplain restoration is the most important thing for my job and what I promote the most. So disconnection from the floodplains, the building of berms, those are directly causing so much of the flooding issues that we're having now. So if I did say that, I misspoke. But I've never wavered on that kind of point. And you can ask Tom. I've been in the field with Tom. So, and anybody else. Marie.
Sure. So I just wanted to ask, because, for example, at that community resilience meeting we had a couple of Saturdays ago, the key issue for everybody in the room was dealing with the dam. That it still is there as probably the first thing that most people want us to deal with. So I think we have a responsibility as a select board to get to a decision about this. And I'm not sure we're all ready, but I know one of the key issues was, is there a satisfactory solution for the fire department for, I'll use cisterns, but whatever, alternative ways of being able to access, and given what we've seen in terms of best practices out on the West Coast, there are solutions. I'm just wondering, have we checked that box satisfactorily for the fire department? I'm just looking at you, Jimmy, because I know you're there.
No, that's the part that we're talking, that's why it's,
Where's-
part of this is taking so long, so we gotta meet with
I know.
Troy and,
When
right-
will that get done?
Hopefully in the near future, we'll meet with Joy.
Yeah, because it all depends on when he's.
Because I think that's a very important piece
Absolutely, yeah.
of our decision. And
Yeah,
I
'cause
think
right-
the
'cause right-
closer we can get,
Because that is one of the main things holding this up, is to find, because like I said, as I spoke in that meeting, we can't access stuff in the wintertime on people's private roads.
right.
And we don't, it's not big enough to fit multiple fire trucks down
Yeah.
to be able to get water. And the problem with some of these hydrants is they get wiped away in a flood.
Yeah.
The one in South Area has been wiped away 2-3 times.
Yeah.
So,
Anyway,
that's the
I
issue we're
feel
facing
a
right
sense
now.
of urgency, and it's not because we're gonna have another flood, it's just because I think we need to move on with this issue and get the right information, so.
Melissa?
I agree with Martha. I think that the community is hoping for an answer on the dam, but I think what everyone needs to really think about is that it's to do a lot of the things that might need to be done, whether it's changing the direction of the Utley Brook. That requires a lot of people to get on board with that. And rivers, when you move them, they generally like to go back the way that they like to go. So I think that, conservation then gets involved, all the area up where you're talking, Chad, I mean, that is habitat. So there would definitely be conservation involved there. So this isn't just a quick decision, and I think it needs to be a very thoughtful decision. So I think taking time, although people are really want the decision to be made, and I am certainly sympathetic to find solutions so that our neighbors don't have to go through this all the time, but it's very complicated.
How is this vote taken as far as the decision on the dam? Is it a public vote or is it a board vote?
It could be either.
We can decide on which one we want to go with.
I think that's why the process has gone on, because we've wanted more input. I personally wouldn't be able to make the decision to, I mean, from this seat, it's easier to pick something that can be funded or something that can be, done that's maybe more agreed upon. But when there's a lot of input and a lot of challenges and money to be spent, I think that you have to consider everything. And I would, if we were to keep the dam, I think there needs to be more information and more involvement. If we were to remove it, I think that's an easy, if there was more consensus on removing it, I think the board would have said remove it a long time ago. If everybody said take it out, we would have just taken it out.
Yeah, but the problem is that everybody in this town wasn't directly affected by the flood other than an inconvenience as far as home ownership and property damage. I mean, it was fairly minimal given the size of the flood. I came from a flood in Colorado, and your point is that the rivers will go back to their same place, which is what the Army Corps of Engineers came into my town back in the 50s, moved the river, and then we had a 1,000-year flood, and it wiped out the town. But the town was decimated, and then the vote came to make this go back to its original path. My point is that in this town, How many major properties and homes were affected by this flood?
I think it's like the businesses and, I mean, it's.
Well, I'm not
I don't
talking
have an
about
exact
businesses, I see
number.
that the town got it, but I'm saying that the people that are against getting this dam removed, are they directly affected? Most likely not, I would guess.
Well, I would be guessing too if I said that.
But I would
Yeah.
say that the guess is on our side. I'll guarantee you. With the research I've done, we had businesses flooded, but sooner or later, you're starting to see businesses starting to move and get rid of their properties. Napa's one of them.
Certainly been a challenge for.
I mean, I'm just saying that it's the white elephant in the room that nobody wants to address. It's been there, it's been a problem time and time again, if not time and time and time again. And I don't understand where the vocal part of this comes from, as far as the aesthetic part of it. If they were directly affected by it, if their grandmother was directly affected by it, I bet it would be a different note, a different tune in town. I mean, you can sit there and shrug your shoulders and say that's probably not the case.
No, I'm
But
not
I
shrugging my
guarantee it
shoulders.
is.
I'm saying that I think that, you know, what you're saying is valid. It's a valid perspective, but there's lots of perspectives, and that's what, you know, that's what we're listening to is.
Well, I mean, I get that, but when are you guys going to get to a point where you make a decision? I mean, you're going to constantly have, well, it's an aesthetic value. We want to have this thing here. Well, okay, is it a registered historical site?
No.
Okay, so what are we dealing with? Another flood, I'll guarantee you, come spring, we had one in December last year. We had one in July, and this year, 1 year later, we had a flood again, did we not, in this state? Almost to the day.
It was too.
So, if you were gonna roll the dice, which way would you roll it? That we're gonna have another flood? Because all of this is inadequate for what's happening right now.
We will have another flood. There's no doubt.
Okay, so why are we sitting on our thumbs? Why don't the town make a decision? Bring it to a vote. I don't know, I'm trying to figure out how this town operates.
So the last time we tried to bring it to a vote, people said they didn't have enough information to vote.
What do you mean? What information do they need?
We only had one study at that point, now we have 3. But that was the consensus at town meeting. We don't have enough information to vote on that.
It was on the agenda to vote.
We had it as a town meeting article to remove the dam.
Who said it that we didn't have enough information?
The people did.
The town people, okay.
Right. Anna?
So, with what he just said, I understand that you were directly affected. As a community, we are all affected when it floods. With our neighbors, with people that we know, with whatever. We're all affected somehow. And we all help to try to recover from that. For me, I want the dam to stay. And I'll say it.
For what
For
reason?
the reason, I don't want my house to burn to the ground, and I have a water source with the fire, with the water being there.
Okay, not that withstanding, I understand that, I get that.
So I'm not gonna put a price on my family not having a water source and have my house burn to the ground. And my house burns to the ground, it's no different than you losing your house in the flood. I would be affected by having a fire in my home, and then I have to live with that. And everybody else who has a fire and there's no water source will have to live with that. My other reason for wanting to keep the dam is, once we take that dam out and we make the mistake as a town of taking that dam out, the dam can never be put back. And we, and the people that were here when that dam was built, have all passed away. And they can't tell us what will happen in town without the dam being there. We know what happens and has happened over the years of having the dam there. But we can't say what will happen when it's gone. So once we make that hasty decision of removing the dam, the consequence of whatever happens is on this town. That's why it's taking so long. Because we make that mistake, we all suffer as a town when it is gone for something we don't know what will happen. We do know what happens.
But we do know what's going to happen.
We do know what, we don't. We know what happens now. We won't know what will happen when it's gone.
Well, I think that has gotten to the point that the last major hurdle I believe this board needs to find out is a water source for the fire department.
And let's try to repair the dam, let's try to repair the thing and see if that works.
Repairing that gate's not gonna do
There's
anything.
involved with that.
The
council people are gonna say, no, I'm not interested.
Scott, just up front here, please. But I've said it before, the only reason for that pond and that dam to stay is a water source. Otherwise, I don't see any reason why that dam should. Environmentally, it's better for that dam to be gone. Flood-wise, it's gonna be better for our town. Edge Hill probably will not wash out as much as it does, if not at all. The edge of that dam, where the state has to repair every time, will not wash out as much as it has. The rescue squad will not have as much chance of flooding, as well as having a chance of going across that bridge towards Magic, or even coming down into town, where they don't have that opportunity currently. I believe those are all things that need to be examined. Chad, go ahead.
We haven't had a hydrology study, or is that correct?
A hydraulic study of the surrounding area? No.
Yes, because let's just say we take the dam out and it returns to a trickle of the river. What happens to everybody's well? Let's just say either side of that river, 500 feet. So now we've got 1,000 feet. Everybody that has a well within 500 feet north, south of that, what happens to our wells? I would like to ask Taylor this question, if I may.
Ask who?
Taylor?
Okay.
When the past 2 years, 3 years, and including today, we're in a drought. In the summertime, when the mill pond dries up, what happens to your pond?
It's not directly related, but this past summer, our pond was 2 feet low.
Okay, so two houses up the street or just behind your pond, there are two properties and they have ponds. One of those ponds was put in the late 90s, and it has been low about 8 feet for the past 3 years because of the drought that we're in. So if those ponds are low and yours is only down 2 feet, but your two neighbors are down 6 to 8 feet, that's about 500 feet from the river. What happens to everybody's well?
Chad, I believe SLR answered this question when you asked them. They said out of all the dams they've removed, they had 1 or 2 issues, and most of that was because they were dug wells. They were not drilled wells.
I know, and I understand that, but this town has yet to have a hydraulic study done. So before we do anything, let's make sure we start checking off those boxes. Let's have a hydrologist come in and do a study. Let's have him not come in the spring when we have snow melt. Let's have him come in August or September when the river is dry.
Just looking at you guys from the state, what kind of study could you do for a well?
I'm not familiar, you need a groundwater hydrologist, but I'm not familiar enough with that.
No,
It is myself either.
Wondering exactly who you'd recommend or something like that.
And just something that is considered, I think, in other dam removal studies I've seen where they've studied the wells, or drinking water wells around the reservoir to see if there's going to be an impact and determine if it's going to be meaningful or not.
Could you say that again, please?
I believe other projects that have gone the removal route have studied nearby drinking wells to make sure there's not going to be an issue, or if there is, to have a remedy for it if there's an impact from lowering the water level during dam removal. I think that's been done in other places.
I believe that's all we're gonna ask that question. Like I said, it was the Pug wells, and they said occasionally they had to drill a well a little deeper. But they said for the most part, wells would have not been affected by removing a dam in their experience.
And I'm also not a hydrologist or anything, but I believe, and I've never set it up, you know, with a surveying equipment or anything like that, but our pond, which is an old gravel pit, just for the information, our water level is not the same as the river. They don't go up and down together. Our pond level is higher than that. So hydrologically, I don't know how they could be directly connected if they sit at different levels.
I mean, you would assume that from Route 100 to the bottom of Hunland, or what is it, Mount Holly, on 155?
Yeah.
The whole valley is a gravel pit. The whole valley is nothing but gravel. So when the water level in the river goes down, my assumption dictates that when the water in the river goes down, 500 feet, 1,000 feet out, everybody else's water is going to go down. Yes, I understand when the river is full and your pond is higher, your water level is higher. But when the water level in the river goes down, your water level also goes down. If it goes down 2 feet here, it goes down 2 feet there. It's because there's pressure holding or pushing and helping retain water in your pond. I too am not a hydrologist.
Yeah, I understand that, and I think that our pond specifically is related to that same gravel bed. It's related to the water table, which I know very little about, but as opposed to like a spring-fed pond, something that could be at any level, but we're not spring-fed. It's definitely water table through the gravel. Yes.
Well, when water table drops 500 feet from the river, when the water level drops in the river 500 feet to either side, north, south, east, or west, you would have to assume that the water table has dropped too. Not only do you not have enough water coming from the sky and running down through, when the water table drops here, the water table there drops as well. I mean, like I said, I'm not a hydrologist, but...
No, I understand the notion, not the science maybe, but...
Well, I think we've talked about this subject many times, but I think, Bruce, since you haven't asked a question, go ahead.
Just one last point of a comment, just a reminder that one of the options for fire was like building a cistern, and sizing it correctly for what you guys need. So that is an option. We haven't really looked at it, and we don't know how much it's going to cost, but it is an option.
This is one of the reasons we need to bring Troy Dare in to help us look through for more water options for the fire department, and that is the next step select board's going to take. So we will gather that information and we will go from there.
One question.
One last question.
Last question. With cisterns, take the dam out, water table drops, where do you get the water to fill the cistern?
You fill it with the river, but if you're in a drought right now, where are you going to get the water anyway? If you have a cistern full of water, that's going to be better than having a pond that's full of silt that you can barely get any water out of.
Replenish that water. Once it's out of the cistern and we're in a drought, how do you fill the cistern?
I think I don't know that we got like a model on paper or anything, but the way that it was described, and this individual that you guys are going to talk to maybe can shed some more light on it, but the idea was that it's kind of like a catchment area that you're dipping from, and if it's replenishing while you're dipping from it, then there's always going to be some flow to the river. If it equals what you're drawing out, then it could potentially replenish as you're using it. Not just be like when it's empty that you have to pump from the river into it, but it's like situated in the river so that it would be refilling. Like the river channel, no matter how low it is, goes through this cistern or to the cistern so that it would, every bit of water would be available. That's the way that I understood it. Whether it exists in that way, I don't know, but that to me made the most sense.
I wondered that as well.
None of us here are experts on this, so that's why we need to consult experts on that issue.
I did, I wondered that as well.
So we will consult with Troy Dare and we'll come back together with our next steps. Thank you. Thank you, guys. Hi, Mary. Sorry you keep getting cut off. Can you hear me? We're done with the conversation now. Sorry about that. The speaker kept cutting out in and out on you. Okay. Well, thank you for your time. Have a good day. Bye. All right, moving on to item 13, new business. 13A, discuss winter meeting schedule. This is on here because our next scheduled meeting is actually on Martin Luther King Day, I believe.
No, President's Day.
President's
Day, sorry.
We already went past Martin Luther.
That was the last meeting that we forgot about, sorry. So, I believe that was the only one that was.
Is it a conflict?
Conflict.
For anyone?
Well, do our staff work that day?
We'll probably be closed, but I'll probably work.
It would be the same thing as the last time we had a meeting.
Yeah.
They weren't working that day, but we had the meeting because we didn't realize it until it was already time for the meeting pretty much and said, oh, whoops.
I guess we're.
I mean, there's no particular reason.
I don't have a problem with it on the 17th.
Does anyone have a problem with just doing it the regular schedule?
I'm fine with it.
Josh is the only one who, it's a holiday for him, but.
Well, and we could just put his business off to the next if that
Yeah.
is a concern.
All right, well,
He
sounds
normally,
good.
well, there's never any normal, but he normally would be here
Confuse me when you
the
change.
first of the month anyway, so he just comes back the meeting before town meeting.
Yeah, and postponing it or moving it pushes it up to closer to town meeting, so.
Right.
So we'll stick with the dates, the 1st and 3rds.
Yep. Sounds good.
Okay.
All right, 13B, consider employee compensation matters.
This is for
For Donnie.
Dawn. Do we have, are we just naming an increase or do we have his actual rate?
32, and make it effective next Monday, to give him the pay period.
210.
Yeah. It was 32, right, Tom?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I believe he's at 31 now, so.
I would make that motion. We're good.
Go ahead.
I move to adjust the hourly rate of pay for Donnie Derby to $32 an hour effective February 10th, 2025.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Congratulations, Don. I will let.
Oh, the bond.
Yeah, I'll let Josh know.
If he wants to just hit the early March one.
Yeah.
You have to do the bond thing.
So 13C is bond bank winter pool commitment letter.
We got approved for the bond at their meeting the other day, so that's good. So we just have to sign a commitment letter
This is for what?
for the town office bond.
Town office. Oh, that didn't happen earlier in the sequence
No,
of
this
events?
process has
No,
gone
this has been a
little
weird.
backwards.
The bond bank
Yes,
only
but-
meets like twice a year or something, so it's,
I think what you might recall is that we approved, the town approved getting it.
yeah.
This is the actual.
This is the actual award.
Yeah.
bond.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the closing will be on March 6th, so
Yeah,
we'll
and
have
then
our
if you
money
remember, we
shortly
asked the
after.
cemetery commission if we could borrow money from them
Correct.
if we needed to, but we haven't had to, and
Yeah.
we probably won't have to.
Great.
So we just need a motion to have Shane sign the commitment letter.
So moved. Sorry, I'm thinking though of something else. Let's finish this. I move that we authorize the town administrator to sign all paperwork regarding the bond issue for the town office building.
Second.
Yeah, second. All those in favor? Aye.
Following up on this, I'm reminded of Chris Campany's, I think it was his suggestion at your community resilience workshop, to be sure that we have a line of credit for future emergencies. Because the fear is that we may not be able to tap into federal resources or the like. So I don't know what our line of credit is.
We don't have a line of credit.
We don't have one. There you go.
Commission.
The cemetery,
It is the cemetery
we
commission.
usually go to the
But
cemetery commission.
But it may be something we may want to explore, and maybe that's be a good project with Eileen to look at. But anyway, it's,
Yeah,
I don't want
I've
to
never
lose
had
it.
to borrow much of, except to buy equipment, so.
Right.
All right, who wants the last one?
I move to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.